On the afternoon of April 12, 2006, 16-year-old Elmoni High School junior Kevin Ho hung himself in the baseball field. Despite having many friends and an affinity for the arts, Kevin suffered from untreated mental illnesses that often burdened the ones he loved. Diane Wong, on and off drama teacher for over a decade and advisor of the school club Peer Support, tackling teen depression and suicide, recounts the events leading up to Kevin's final actions and the repercussions they had.
I'm not sure if he was also hospitalized in high school previously, but he did have treatment before for suicide attempts. And he always basically lied his way out, that he's like, oh no, I'm fine now, because obviously you're on the hold and then they evaluate you and you convince them, they release you, and he tried again, and then obviously this last time he was successful. But I know he was a great actor. He was supposed to be in the play, and his acting blew me away. I was just shocked at what a great actor he was. But his grades were really bad, so he couldn't be in the play. So he was just helping because his girlfriend was. I know they'd been together since junior high, and I know he had problems then with depression and whatnot. And then I know when he ended up going to Rosemead High first, and I know they had issues too there because obviously they were far away from each other, and that's why he eventually transferred here so they could be closer to each other. I know he threatened to kill himself in front of her, and harmed himself in front of her. He pulled the knife on himself once. I know that she told me about. Another time I know it might have been the same time, he was basically banging his head into a tree, in their front yard or something. Whenever they would fight, it seems like it would escalate to the point where it's like if she was talking about maybe they shouldn't be together anymore, that's when he would get more self-violent, I guess. Because I know at first I think the things just happened in front of her, but then the situation with the knife and the head with the tree, I know that happened in front of his family, I believe it was. So I know he was hospitalized for that. And then I know it was kind of just a constant battle with them, where he was basically, it was like he was holding her hostage. Because, and she felt like she was being held hostage. If I break up with him, he's going to kill himself. But she doesn't want him to kill himself, so she stays with him, even though it's an abusive relationship. He's holding her hostage. Eventually, because I know when she first came to the Jason Foundation meeting and asked the presenter, it's what do you do when they don't want help? It was shortly after that, when she decided that she'd had enough. And because I remember talking to her about it, at some point, because they were juniors by then, I'm like, are you happy? And she's like, no. And I'm like, then you shouldn't be with him anymore. And I know you feel obligated to because you don't want him to hurt himself, but that's not how you should live your life. And you can't feel guilty by leaving him if something does happen, because again, it's you have to come first before him. And it's been going on for how many years now? And if anything, it's sometimes I feel guilty in a way, I guess, because I know I encouraged her to escape the relationship and ultimately break up with him. But he didn't kill himself for, I think it was a month or 2 months after they had broken up. So things seemed fine for a while afterwards, and she seemed like she was getting better. And then, and then he planned his whole thing out. But it was after, a while after they broke up. It wasn't immediately. So, and I know afterwards, obviously the day it happened, she was a mess because she just had a bad feeling that he was going to do something that day, or that when rumors were going all over campus that there was somebody hung themselves from the baseball field. She just had a bad feeling that it was him, and and it was.
In a statement released in the school's newspaper, Panther's Tale, after Kevin's passing, a Rosemead High School employee and Ho's former teacher criticized the teen's actions, even calling him a coward.
It took her a long time she still deals with it now, and it's been
11 years.
Yeah, 11 years. Yeah, I know this last one, I know it was rough on her because every year I always message her on that day and tell her I love her and whatnot, and she of course is, yes, thank you and for being supportive. And I know this year she was saying she was having a really rough time with it this year, dealing with it, and I'm not sure why. And I didn't get to talk to her a lot about it because it was also the same day as the play. So that's why I told her, I was like, oh, well, if you need a distraction, I was like, you can come down and see the play, even though it was a serious play. But but she had stuff for school since she's doing her nursing rotations. But yeah, it seemed like every year after that, because I know like right after it happened, a lot of people were blaming her to the point where she had to like delete all of her social media because people were sending her hate mail through social media, blaming her. They were text messaging her, sending her just horrible things, just completely just saying everything was her fault, even though it's like they didn't even really know what was going on. And it's like for the longest time too, it's like I would just hear everyone all the time like, oh, he killed himself because she broke up with him. And I was like, no, I'm like, he killed himself because he had mental problems. He had mental problems for a long time. I was like, they broke up a while, several months before he even did that. So you can't blame her. I was like, she did everything she could to help him. And I explained to whoever is saying those things too. I was just like, you can't help someone that doesn't want to be helped.
Jason Foundation, recently rebranded as Action Alliance, hosts monthly suicide awareness seminars on the El Monte campus. The events are targeted towards students, but meetings are open to the public.